had Baca, so we'll test how the Baca is. So I like to use like a watercolor brush. Um, and if you need to get closer, you can. So just take a little bit, and you put it here. But you see how like the Baca is like super, super thick? So sometimes like if you just add a little water, but this is what you don't want to do. So you see how like you added so much water that it turns to watercolor like a little bit and it's really, really streaky? You don't want to do that. You just want to mix a little bit like up with it and make sure that it's a good consistency, that it's smooth, but at the same time it's still opaque, which is essentially going to come out looking like a print. So you have to kind of follow it. And you go right up to the edge. That edge that you did with your tech pen. It can be very therapeutic. You listen to slow jazz or something like that. I'll just put on a good Spotify station, and then you're good to go after that. Okay, so if you're anything like me, once this dries, the thicker that it is, the more streaky it's gonna be. When I say streaky, like literally, it sits on top of, like if you get really, really close, like you can actually see where there's more of the product. So you just try and get it as smooth as possible. Okay, so in the end it'll look like that.
How long does it take for it to dry?
Not long. I mean, you could take like a blow dryer to it if you wanted to speed up the process. What you don't want to do, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me closely. What you don't want to do is wait till the last minute to do your project, and then it's still wet, and then you're covering with tracing paper, and it sticks to your project. There is nothing that I despise more than opening up your project and the tracing paper sticks to it, because then I can't look at your project and then it ruins it. So like you're gonna end up having to I mean, maybe not this one, but if you like perpetually do it, like in the end, like then it just ruins your project, and like you're only shooting yourself in the foot. Because one, that's bad craft. Two, it messes up your whole project and you have the potential to have to do it again. And anyway, so don't do that. So just make sure, give it enough time to dry, because you don't want to be, I would say just knock them all out. Like do this step to all of them and then move on to the next step of mounting. That's what I would do. And just because later on, if you're anything like me, like spray mount is not my friend. It is now, but when I was in this stage of my art career, it was not, and I didn't like it very much. Okay, so after all of this is done, you're gonna go and basically cut out your composition. Which, if you want to test, basically all of this is space that you're gonna cut out. So if you're not sure how it's gonna come out, you can like test it on the side, because you're cutting it off anyway. So if you're nervous about like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna look, just test it on the side. It's not that big a deal. Because that's all gonna be cut away, essentially. So just watch your fingers. Has anybody not used an X-Acto knife before? Okay, perfect, great. I think I have a picture on my computer of when I sliced a chunk off of my finger. Not fun. It's also good to remember that these little kind of like crop marks that you made, make sure to do it in pencil and not in pen, and make sure to erase them. People just forget, and it's like little things that are just like, all you have to do is erase your crop marks. And a lot, because you'll end up marking them on that too, and people just forget. Excuse me. Okay, so for this particular project, the composition is 6 by 6, which means how big is this going to be? 10 by 10. So it's going to be 2 inches on every side. Okay, so essentially it's going to be like this, and then you'll cut this to be 10 by 10, which we can do that right now, and we can show you how actually difficult it is. I think this is 10 already. Fantastic. Okay, so if you buy the sheets, like these come in 15 by 20 sheets, you can get 2 for this project out of 2 sheets of Letromax. So you just essentially need 2, and then you cut it into the 4. And it's making less cuts, because then it's 20 this way, so you're literally, but you have to make sure to cut it correctly. So whenever you're like cutting, sometimes like you're more conscious about one side being nice because that side's gonna fall away. Well, whenever you're conserving space that way, you have to make sure that you're making the cut like really, really well, because you're using both pieces. Okay, so that's 10, so we just need to measure out 10 by 10. A lot of times what I end up doing, you can either mark it with your pencil. I actually mark it just with the... I just make a little cut. Okay. Does anybody have tape or masking tape, even though you're not supposed to use that? Does anybody have that with them? No? Okay. I think I have some tape. I think. Okay. So the goal is to not see, like, if you press too hard, you break the tip, and then, like, this is rendered useless. So make sure whenever you're cutting these that you have a really, really sharp blade. If that means that you have to change the blade every time that you cut a board, do it. Like, it seems like this is going to be wasteful, like, to just, like, keep on throwing these away. Honestly, like, they sell these behind the counter in, like, 1,000 pack. Just do it. I mean, if this is going to be your graduate career, you might as well just buy them, because it's not like you're not going to use them.